So in this video, I want to go over how to set up your lab notebook for Chem 101. Okay, so we use these blue notebooks that are sold in the bookstore here on the Carroll campus, and notice here you have the numbered pages up here. Okay, and this notebook has a total of 120 pages. If you do decide to not purchase this blue notebook, which I would prefer if you did, but if you decide to go with a different notebook, you need to make sure that the pages are numbered, because we're going to be utilizing these page numbers as we go about throughout the semester, referring to pages for experiments and such. So first, I wanted to point out, so this was the chemistry laboratory safety sheet, and I have it scaled down to specifically fit inside your lab, inside the cover of your lab notebook, and I just trimmed off the excess there. I'm just gonna go ahead and toss that. And so what I want you to do with this safety info, after you print it off from the Moodle website, you can either tape it in here inside the front cover or the back cover, okay? But one or the other is necessary. And the reason I have this, I want you to have this at all times, is because my main priority, other than teaching you chemistry, of course, but my main priority is your safety, okay, first and foremost. And so the reason I have that is if you forget what the rule is, I want you to have it at your fingertips ready to go. And then obviously I always try to specify if there are any particular safety concerns that you need to be aware of, but for the most part, you need to know all of these general rules from day one, right? So we can stay safe. So you can either glue or tape, I don't really care which, into your lab notebook, and I would actually put 2 more pieces there. So just to have this available to you at all times. So this is not something so you have no excuse to not know all of these rules and have them at your fingertips. Okay, so let's start with, let's start with making sure your name is on the lab notebook. It seems kind of funny that I would bring that up, but you need to make sure your name is on the lab notebook. It can either be on the outside, like this, or on the inside cover. That's fine too. Okay, just put your name. First and last is fine, whatever you are comfortable with. And then I think it is really important to personalize your lab notebook, right? So because there are upwards of 80 something Gen Chem students, and each one of them will have this lab notebook. So when you come to pick up your lab notebook, it will be very beneficial to you to make it very unique, such that you can recognize immediately how or to pick it up. So these are a couple of examples from some students in the past who put just some fun colored duct tape on the binders, and so notice it's the same blue lab notebook. It's just they had put some of the fun colored duct tape, and you can make it as personal as you want, as long as it's appropriate. Then it is fine with me. I don't care. I just want to make sure that it just makes it a little easier for you to recognize your lab notebook at a glance, so you're not standing in front of my bookshelf for 10 minutes trying to find your lab notebooks amongst the sea of blue lab notebooks, okay? So I think it is very wise to decorate the binder in a way such that you can recognize it quickly, okay? You could just write your name on here, though again, you're gonna have, it's not as eye-catching as doing these very bright patterns here. So, but that's up to you. That is a personal choice, so I will leave that up to you. Okay, so on page 1, okay, we're going to start right from the beginning, right? Page 1, you're going to make a table of contents. Okay, table of contents with some subheadings here. Your first subheading will be your experiment, okay? Your next subheading should be the page number, okay? And so before you start an experiment, anytime, so your first one will be density and dimensional analysis. And then you are going to write your starting page number. I don't think I care as much about the end page number, but I do want you to write the starting page number for density and dimensional analysis. So that would, you will start that one on page 4 here. You'll just write 4 and then be ready to write your first experiment. Okay, and so when I go to do the when I set up my experiments, okay, now I want you to at least leave pages 2 and 3 blank in case your table of contents spill over. Though I've never had students spill over onto page 3, but as a just in case, let's leave these 2 pages blank to allow to fill in throughout the year. Okay, because you could potentially use the same notebook for Chem 102 as well. Okay. So let's go to page 4 here. Page 4, we will start by writing the title of the lab we'll be doing, okay? And the protocol and everything is all available on the corresponding week on your Moodle page, okay? So density and dimensional analysis and intro to statistics. So the title should be written on every left-hand side page, right? As you go through the whole lab, the full title should be written on the left-hand side page, okay? Now today's date is August 21st, 2018. Now your date should go on every page, okay? Every page. So I'll just go ahead and write that over here. Okay. So once I get into onto the Moodle page here, I have the lab pulled up on my computer screen here. So my first step would be to write down generally what the objective is. Now the point here is not to absolutely copy the objective word for word. That's not the idea of what I want you to do for the objective. What I am more interested in kind of reading what you think you should be taking away from this particular lab. That is to say, to discover how different solids have different densities, or how to measure the density of a solid, for instance. I'm not certainly opposed to you writing it word for word. However, I would prefer it if you brought some of your, you used it in your own language, found your own language to determine what the objective of this particular lab is. Okay, so then and then you would write the purpose . Now I'm going to let you come up with this. So you're just going to write what the purpose of this experiment is and the takeaways of what you want to come away with this lab, okay? Now, when it comes to any of the background, okay, now we always have a bit of background in all of our lab handouts, just to kind of give you a heads up of you know, what you should expect, or the kinds of ideas you should refer to when we're talking about all of these for all of the labs. If there's something you want to be, if you want to remember in particular, right? Say for instance the formula for density, right? Density equals mass, there's only one A, mass over volume, okay? Density equals mass over volume. If you would like to write that down, that is just fine. However, that is not a required thing. And that background section that you would start before your procedure, that's really just a chance for you to make notes to yourself, right? Because every scientist is going to be making notes to themselves in their lab notebook, whether they need to remember it later or it's something that they will need later on, you know, while they're performing the experiment or during post-lab calculations. So if it's something that you want to remember specifically, by all means, please write it down. It's not going to hurt you by any means, okay? So below the objective and any sort of background information you might want to put, you will write out procedure, okay? Literally, the subheading, procedure, there. And then, at this point, you actually have a couple of options, and it really depends on the best way, and you might change as you go throughout the semester. It depends on the best way that you find that you perform an experiment, okay? All of the, or not all, actually, some of the procedures are written in paragraph form, and some of the procedures are written in a step-by-step form. The difference between the two, it really depends on the chemist who wrote it, honestly. That's really the only difference between them. You still get through the experiment in both ways. Me, I'm a step-by-step kind of person, so I like to have the numbered, now this is step 1, I do this. This is step 2, and then I do this, so on and so forth. If you prefer the paragraph form, and if you can keep it neat as you're writing, then by all means do the paragraph form, okay? That is up to you. It doesn't matter to me as long as it's legible and as long as another, say your lab partner, could also follow it, though they should have their own lab notebook, right? As long as someone else in the field could follow it, that's what I care about. Like I said, I'm more of a step-by-step kind of person, so I prefer the step 1. Once that is complete, I move on to step 2, okay? But you do it how you want to do it, okay? So you'll go ahead and write out what the experimental procedure should be. Now notice I'm on the left-hand side page here, okay? And we had skipped pages 2 and 3. I'm on the left-hand side page. So as you're writing your procedure, and all of your experiments should start on the left-hand side page, okay? All should start on the left-hand side page. And once you reach the end here, you will write, and you're not done copying down the procedure, you will write procedure continued